What is up, everybody? Today I'm going to be doing something a lot different in my video. Instead of playing a normal chess game or something along those lines, I put up 32 questions for a Would You Rather Kayvon's chess bracket to see where I stand for chess and what I would rather have happen. So to start this thing off, there's going to be 32 options, and the one that I would rather happen will move on to the next round. Eventually, after about 3 or 4 rounds, there's only going to be one left, and that will be my Would You Rather champion. And I might do a video like this again in the future because it's pretty fun. So the first question here is, would you rather forget to press the clock, or would you play the wrong opening? That's a good question. I have forgotten to press the clock before in on the board tournaments, but playing the wrong opening is it's pretty bad because then you're kind of struggling later in the game. And I think if you forget to press the clock, it's not the end of the world, right? Because then you can just be like, oh, I forgot to press the clock. But if you play the wrong opening, it's the end of the world. So I'm gonna say I would say forget to press the clock. So that's just me, but that's where I'm gonna go with that. Next question. Start over at a 400 rating. That would be so bad. My chess career would be over if that happened. Or never be able to improve again. That's a really tough question. Start over at a 400 rating or never be able to improve again. I think that I would rather just start over. As crazy as that sounds, but that's so tough to say. Yeah, yeah. I would start over at a 400 rating. But I can see why if you're like a grandmaster, never being able to improve again's okay. But I think I would rather have to start over because I would need to keep improving. And that's crazy that I'm going to say this. I'm going to go with starting over. I can't see myself not being able to improve. So I would rather start over there. Play without developing the knights or play without developing the bishops. That's a good one. Um, Man, I'm gonna have to. Oh, I would have to go with play without. I would rather not develop the bishops. I think developing the knights is really important in a game, and so I would rather play without developing my bishops because I would have my knights. And knights can do so many sneaky things, especially if you're not less than. If you're more than 2,000, they can't, but if you're less than 2,000, they can. So I'm going to say play without developing the bishops. That's just me, though. That's a controversial one, but I think knights are slightly more important than bishops because they convert your opponents off guard. Only play blitz forever or have no pre-moves. So pre-moves is like when you make a move before it happens to save you on time in chess. Or only play blitz forever. By the way, the seeds are random, just so you know. Have no pre-moves? I mean, I think pre-moving is important, so I would personally say that pre-moving is very important depending on the game type. But would I rather only play Blitz forever? No, I think I'd rather have no pre-moves ever because playing Blitz forever isn't, I just couldn't do that. Play the Bond Cloud forever? Okay, the Bond Cloud's really weird. It's where you move your king up after the second move. One time Magnus played it as a joke, but it is the worst way to start a game in chess. Or never castle again. Oh my gosh, that's such a tough question. Would you rather play one of the worst openings or never be able to castle again? I think I would never castle again. Well, no, I would actually play the Bond Cloud. That I would actually rather just play the Bond Cloud forever and never play chess again after that than never be able to castle again. Because castling is the big thing in chess. You have to do that. Okay, would you rather have Hikaru's speed or Magnus's brain? That's such a good question because it's asking me the two best players. Would you rather have Hikaru's speed or Magnus's brain? You know what? Give me Magnus's brain. I think that Magnus's brain is so smart that I would rather have his brain than Hikaru's speed. But that's just me personally. I think that it could go either way. Would you rather never blunder again or always think 10 moves ahead? Mm, that's a really tough one. That's a really tough one because both are good options. You know, some are bad options, some are good options. This one is a good option. Never blundering again would be nice, but if you can always think 10 moves ahead, I think that that is what leads people to winning. I think that is okay. If I make a blunder, big deal. Because if I'm thinking 10 moves ahead, I'm not going to make a blunder after that. So I would say always think 10 moves ahead. Plus, if I'm always thinking 10 moves ahead, I usually won't blunder. Usually, I think, maybe, I don't know. Play Hikaru and Bullet or face Magnus blindfolded. I would definitely rather get embarrassed playing Hikaru and Bullet, because then I can say my mouse slipped. Because if I face Magnus blindfolded, that would look so bad. Trust me, Magnus has actually done videos where he'll play 5 or 10, even sometimes as many as 15 people blindfolded, and he'll beat all of them. It's crazy. Okay, would you rather blunder your rook or blunder a mate in 2? Oh my gosh, that's a really good question. Okay, if I blunder my rook in a game, that hurts, but if you blunder a mate in 2, that hurts even more. But at least if you blunder a mate in 2, you don't lose a piece, if that makes sense. So I would rather blunder a mate in 2, which is crazy, but that would never happen, right? You would think. Never being able to play e4, the most common opening with the pawn, or play e4 the rest of my life. I, I would say I would say play e4 the rest of my life. Barely. But I think that playing e4 is the best opening in chess. And so if I had to play it for the rest of my life, fine. That would be really hard to do though, but I would have to go with that. Draw a game by stalemating somebody or draw after mouse slipping blunder. Okay, if I make a blunder and my mouse slips, that's like the worst thing possible. But it's also the worst thing possible when you draw a game by stalemate. I would say I would rather draw a game by stalemate, but that's a good question because I think it's close. I think it's closer than it would appear. Okay, we're almost to the end of the first round. Play without 2 rooks or play without a queen? Playing without a queen is very tough, but playing without 2 rooks is actually worth more than playing without a queen. 2 rooks is worth 10, and playing without a queen is worth 9. I think for this question, it depends the position. Is it the opening, the middle game, the end game? Who are you playing? You know, what type of position is there? But in general, I would rather play without 2 rooks, because the queen's the most powerful piece on the board. So I would go with that. Okay, blunder in a chess video or rage quit in a tournament. I would rather do neither, but if I had to choose between these two really terrible questions that just are so bad, I would rather do neither. I hate both of them. But if I had to choose, I would probably blunder in a chess video because at least I don't lose a game. You know, if you rage quit in a tournament, then you lose the whole game, and that would just suck. This is a really good one. This might be the best one in the first round. I don't know. Only play on the board or only play on my phone? Oh, that's so tough because I always play on my phone, but not being able to play on the board kind of destroys chess, right? That's a really good question. I'm going to say I would rather only play on the board. But that's closer than it would appear, because I think playing on the phone is something I always am used to, and if I only play on the board, it's going to be tougher for me to get better, because I'm not going to be playing as many people on the board. Okay, game goes viral for a brilliant move, or game goes viral for beating a master. I would say beating a master for that. I think that one is pretty obvious, but brilliant moves are really smart. Like if you're playing a game for someone among your level and you make a brilliant move, it is a really big deal because those are rare. But yeah, I would say beating a master for that. Lose by a tactical trap or lose on time? Ooh. Personally, I would rather lose on time than lose on a tactical trap. Because at least you're not losing tactically and it doesn't make you mad. If you lose on time, you're like, okay, but if you lose because you make a bad move at the really end of a game, that's the worst feeling. So I would personally say lose on time. Okay, we're down to our last 16. Okay, next round. Forget to press the clock or start over at a 400 rating. I would rather forget to press the clock for that because I think that one's not particularly close. I think if you forget to press the clock, it's not the end of the world. I think people make forgetting to press the clock a bigger deal than it is, and you can only forget to press the clock if it's on the board game too. So forget to press the clock. Play without developing bishops or have no pre-moves. I would rather have, yeah, I would rather have no pre-moves. I think that if you don't pre-move, that's not the end of the world, so I'll go with that. Play the Bong Cloud forever or have Magnus's brain. You know, because the way the questions were formed, this was gonna happen. The first round questions were meant to be the best, and then from here, we just see the best options, but it might take a few rounds to get there. You know, between the two, it's very close. Would I rather play the Bong Cloud or have Magnus's brain? That's a very tough question. Just kidding, it's not. I would, have Magnus's brain, not even close. Always think 10 moves ahead or play Hikaru and Bullet. Another not great question. Always gonna think 10 moves ahead, but this one, between Magnus and always think 10 moves ahead, that's gonna be a good question. I don't know what I'm gonna pick for that. Blunder a mate in 2 or play e4 the rest of my life. Oh, that just happened to match well. Oh my gosh. Blundering a mate in 2 or playing e4 for the rest of my chess career. Can never play another move. I'd rather blunder a mate in 2. I would rather blunder a mate in 2. At least that would only be one game. I didn't even think about it. That would only be one game as well, so yeah, I'm fine with that. Draw a game by stalemate or play without 2 rooks. I'd rather draw a game by stalemate, because if I'm playing without 2 rooks, I'm probably going to lose, so I'd rather just take the tie. Blunder in a chess video or only play on the board. I would rather blunder in a chess video, for sure. And then game going viral for beating a master or losing on time. I'd rather have a game go viral for beating a master, trust me. Yeah, some of the second round matchups didn't match out well. There were a few good ones, like always blunder mate in 2, play e4 the rest of my life. You know, some of these questions weren't the best, but this is where it gets interesting because now we're down to the final 8. Okay, would I rather forget to press the clock or have no pre-moves? Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. Sometimes I have to repeat the questions because I need to think. And so by thinking, I'm going to repeat the questions. So then I have time to think about the answer. But I'm going to try not to do that as much here. Forgetting to... Oh, see, I almost did it again. I almost just repeated. Okay, I'll say this. Forgetting to press the clock would be bad. But having no pre-moves would be worse. I'm going to say I'd rather forget to press the clock. The 1 seed will move on there. By the way, like I said earlier, the seeds don't matter. They're just for fun. Okay, oh, this is a really good question. Would I rather have Magnus's brain or always think 10 moves ahead? Okay, if I always thought 10 moves ahead, I would be really smart. But there's something about Magnus's brain that is something no other person can really have. You would think, maybe one day. I don't know. I think always thinking 10 moves ahead is a big deal, but if you have Magnus's brain, you don't need to think 10 moves ahead. I'm going to say I'd rather have Magnus's brain. That is probably the best question we're going to get in this round. Blunder a mate in... Oh, wait, no, this one's also really good. This one might be the best question we get in the round. Blunder a mate in 2 or draw a game by stalemate. Oh my goodness. These questions just had to line up perfectly, didn't they? They were just meant for each other. Blundering a mate in 2 is the worst feeling, but drawing a game by stalemate is also a terrible feeling. I think I would rather blunder a mate in 2, but that is a good one. I will give credit, that is a good one. Blunder in a chess video or game goes viral for beating master. I'd rather have a game go viral for beating master. Game going viral for beating master has had an easy run so far. The only good question was the first round. Those were the best questions. But now that we're getting here, it's like, okay, you know, not a big deal. Okay, would you rather forget to press the clock or have Magnus's brain? Magnus's brain all day. Not even close. Magnus's brain easily moves on. And then, would you rather blunder a mate in 2 or a game going viral for beating a master? I mean, game going viral for beating a master, I hope. Okay. So these two are the only ones left. In the championship round, we have, would you rather have Magnus's brain or a game going viral for beating a master? Well, I wouldn't need a game to go viral if I had Magnus's brain because he already is a master. So in the championship, Magnus's brain wins all day, not even close. And so as my champion, I have Magnus's brain winning this thing. Please let me know what you think of the bracket, if you agree or disagree with how it went. And leave a comment and tell me what you think. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.